Let's talk about vertical asymptotes. A vertical line, x equals a, is called a vertical asymptote of some function f of x if our function goes to infinity as x gets very close to a. What that looks like is f of x approaches plus or minus infinity as x gets close to a, and this can be from either direction. In fact, from both directions. So if we want to identify the vertical asymptotes on these graphs, what we're looking for is points where as we get closer and closer to that point, the function appears to shoot off to infinity. So let's start on the left here. On the left, we can see that this function is shooting up towards positive infinity and it's shooting down towards negative infinity as the function gets closer and closer and closer to this point at x equals minus 4. And so we can write x equals minus 4 is a vertical asymptote. However, we'll notice this isn't the only place where this happens. Similarly, the function shoots up to infinity and down to minus infinity here when our function is getting closer and closer to 1, and it shoots up to infinity and down to minus infinity here when the function gets closer and closer to 3. So for our first function on the left here, we have x equals 1, x equals 3, and we already said x equals minus 4 are all the vertical asymptotes on this graph. What about on the right? Well, again, we'll notice that this function is shooting off, going down to minus infinity, and shooting up to positive infinity. And it's a little harder to see where, but we can put this dotted line right down the middle here. We can see this line at x equals negative 1 does not get touched by either graph, which is part of the definition of a vertical asymptote. An asymptote in general gets closer and closer to a line without actually touching it. These graphs get closer and closer to x equals negative 1, but they never touch or cross it. Let's take a look on the far right now. Same thing is happening. We've got a function that's growing towards infinity, a function that's shrinking towards minus infinity. And this time, if we throw our dotted line in here, right in between them, so it doesn't touch either, this looks like our best guess is going to be the line x equals 2. There's maybe a bit of margin for error here. We could extend in either direction, maybe a tenth of a unit, but this is the best guess that we have so far.